All right, we're no messing around. Let's just get right into it. College football playoff expansion. Are you for it or against it?
I think it's really cool.
Why?
Well, first of all, it's with bowl tie-ins and all of that. There was literally no way for an underdog to get it to a championship, right? Like even when it was back in the BCS days, it was just the top two based on schedule, based on voters, and that's it. And I like the opportunity for like little guys who might not have the best resume, who would never get in like that, to be able to compete at the highest level and have an opportunity to make it. So I like the little guy. Okay, that's me.
Okay. I do like the idea of a group of 5 guy getting in. I think it's good, and I think it's special for those programs who have worked so hard. And you know, there's some that go undefeated. You know, we saw Cincinnati go undefeated, and they made it in, but didn't do too well. But you know, still they are deserving of something at least. But a quick review of the format. The thing that is interesting is that the top 5 Power 5 or top 6, I guess, conference champions. Those are the ones who get the top seeds in the first round bye, and it's the top 4 that get the first round bye. But the idea that the conference champion is the one that gets the automatic high seed is the one that kind of trips me up a little bit. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But with that being said, I think it's going to devalue some of the regular season of college football. We see these sports, you know, like college basketball. I'm not saying that the regular season isn't important, but they can drop some losses to their rivals, and it doesn't matter that much. It matters to the fan base, it matters to the school, and so forth. But in the big picture for that year and the success of their season, it doesn't really matter. Whereas in football, where a lot of a program's success is riding on the regular season, it's kind of lifted up now. And, you know, you take the pressure off for a team, which is good sometimes, but at the same time, it's like, what is the value in these big time rivalry games if it's not going to carry much weight when determining and crowning a champion at the end of a season? And so I think we're not going to feel the effects right away. I think it's going to like go on down the line, and it's going to be really fun at first, but I think it's going to take away kind of what's special to college football. And then it's going to push towards these mega conferences, which we're also going to talk about on another show, where these conferences are going to absorb all of these big teams. And then that's going to be the entirety of college football. Is there's going to be these big conferences who play each other all year, and then they have the 12-team playoff, and that's it. There's no more meaningful games for conferences. There's no more like conference rivalries. Like the conference championships are important, yes, now because you get an automatic bid to the playoff if you win. But the conference regular season games, it's just it kind of sucks because I think it's losing a lot of its luster with this expansion. And I think that they're only like this is only happening because the people who are in control want to make more money. And I think the BCS format was better than the 14 playoff. Truly, it made things easier. Everybody knew who the top 2 was. When we introduced the top 4, it was always hard to find a 5th.
You cannot say for certain that there were definitely 2 top teams beforehand. Sometimes, but sometimes there weren't.
I mean, you always had a top 1. I don't remember in the past where there was like an undisputed 1 or a non-undisputed 1. Like there was always that one team that everybody knew, like, oh, okay, they deserve to be in the championship. But with the 4-team playoff, like, let's be real. When has there ever been 4 teams worthy of that spot? Like one of them always gets rocked. Like it's never a close game. You know, and with the 12-team playoff, we're just going to see more of that. Let's be real. A 11 seed is not going to win the college football playoff. A 12 seed, no, there's no way that they win. No chance. I mean, it just like I'm glad for the teams that get in. It's better for their program, but let's be real. Is it better for college football? No, No, the expansion is. I don't see it
I think
working
it's
out
cool
in
to
the
have a
long
more
run. I
expanded
don't see it.
postseason like the playoffs in the NFL. I just think that'll add another element that college football didn't have, even though there were bowl games. But these are going to be the first round of games is going to be a home to the higher seed, correct? That's confirmed. So I think that'll be really
Yes.
cool. It's like a home playoff game, basically. Um,
Right. And so it'll be like since the first 4 have buys,
yeah.
then like 5 will play the 12th at home, 6 will play the
I
11th
want
at
to bring
home,
it
and so
back to
forth,
what
like
you were
that.
saying about how it like devalues the regular season of college football, and I just want to let's just take into example that the 12-team field was last year, and just take the SEC. Like how did those games, like when LSU beat Bama, when Tennessee beat Bama, like how is that just like devalued? Like it's not like people just quit. You know what I'm saying? That's what I almost felt like. I almost felt like you were saying that people would just like take a game
Well,
off at the end. Is that what you were saying?
almost. I mean, and let's be real, like let's use the SEC for instance. It's like LSU, Alabama, they play each other. That game may be meaningful to the two fan bases, but in the grand scheme of things, that game is no longer as meaningful because it's not do or die, win or lose.
I mean,
You know,
we're still going to be in the postseason, but
you
like,
don't like exactly like what's the like. I feel like people don't realize that the stakes are so high and the rivalry games are so fun because of the stakes that are so high. And so with the 12-team playoff for the SEC, for the Big 10 and maybe like the Big 12 or something, the stakes aren't going to be that high anymore. You know? Like for like Kansas State, they lost what 3 games last year. They would have been in the tournament as a top 6 seed because they beat TCU in the Big 12 championship. And now with the way that Big 12 is doing things, you know, anything can happen. Same with ACC. They're just doing the top 2 teams, no longer like a East and West.
It's got to be unified when they do
But
that. Like when they have this whole new program, they're going to have to decide on like the conferences being the same in that regard. They're going to have to. Like I don't know. It wouldn't be fair.
Well, I mean, you know, there's already talks about the ACC who are contracted through 2036 to that they're already trying to break that. Like all the programs, most of the programs in the ACC who signed that contract through 2036 want to nullify it somehow and get out. They know that the mega conferences are coming. And I'm trying not to talk too much about that because that's going to be another segment of this series. But that's what this playoff pushes for. And I'm against it because what you mentioned something about the NFL and the playoff structure. And I love the NFL and the expanded playoff and the playoff structure that it has. But the problem is I don't want college football to become the NFL. I like college football as it is. It's going to be, but I don't want it to be. That's why I'm against the college football playoff. That's why I'm against these mega conferences, and that's why I'm against, you know, unrestricted NIL. That's just how it is. But you know what? It doesn't make money. It's not fruitful to the suits, so it's not what we get. And so with that, we sacrifice the stakes of conference play, the stakes, you know, it's like luckily the one thing that is good about it is like the conference champions do get an automatic bid, which is good and bad because for instance, last year if Purdue beat Michigan in the Big 10 championship, they would have been a top 6 seed. And that would have felt ass backwards.
But that would be more interesting too.
But it is good that way. That's how it makes the Big 10 or like it makes conference championships more meaningful. Whereas with the 4-team playoff,
it was,
you know, some of them could lose or win, like, and it wouldn't matter. They would still get that bid. That seemed like a hot topic going into championship week with conference or college football playoff bids looming the following day. But it's just, and one thing that on a side note is the independent schools don't have a chance at that. They won't be a top 6 seed. Like Notre Dame, let's say if they go on a tear, go undefeated, they won't get top 6. So this will now push those independents. because they don't have a conference. They can't be a
Yeah,
conference champion. They
what
can't
is
be a
it?
top
What
six
is it?
seed if they're not a conference
It's the
champion.
top conference. Yeah, but there's 6 more spots.
Six, top 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 Power Five. No,
Oh,
what I'm
gotcha,
saying
gotcha,
is they
gotcha.
can't be a top six seed.
Yeah.
They can be 7 through 12, but they cannot be a top six seed. So this is going to entice them to push for maybe joining a conference whenever this mega conference stuff starts happening, which it will. But that's why I'm against it. I think it'll be more fun. The first couple years, like, don't get me wrong, like, it'll be great. It's kind of like March Madness. I love March Madness. I love all of the madness and stuff, the chaos. And so I think it's going to be chaos for this. We'll see an upset. We'll see maybe 2 or 3 upsets, but let's be real. There's no 11 or 12 seed that's
I
going
will
to
tell you
be
this though.
winning the big
It'll
names.
be.
I just
I think for the players' health, because some of these kids are just like 18 years old, and it's going to add like 3 more games to their season. It could come down to it where injuries play in huge with the fact that, like, there's an injury earlier in the season, then a team can get like a lower seed. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's say it's, I don't know, LSU or something, and their quarterback is like injured for the first 6 games, but they end up winning 9, and they're like the 11 seed or something like that, or the 10 seed. Then they could come and upset an earlier team like that. But then also, with these more games being played, I think it's more potential for crazy stuff to happen when players getting injured. Just the wear and tear.
right.
I
It will.
don't think a 12 team can
and
win
that's kind of,
ever, but I do think there's going to be some crazy stuff happen.
and there will, no doubt, and it'll be fun at first. But I think that a couple years down the road, all of us who loved college football for what it was will look back and be like, "Damn, I miss when these games held more meaning." Or like, "Dang, I wish when regular season games just meant so much more." And so I really do think that the 12 team playoff is gonna it's gonna I keep saying it's gonna take some meaning off of the regular season games, and I do mean that, but at the same time, it's like we we like professional sports. We like the NFL because it's the NFL. We like college sports because it's college. There's nothing like it. I don't want something that we already have in the NFL. I want college football for college football. I want it the way that it has been forever. I don't like what's coming down the road, and the expansion. The reason I don't like it is not necessarily because of the product itself, the 12 team playoff, but what it's pushing towards. It's pushing towards mega conferences. It's pushing towards, these the traditions of college football and conference play. It's pushing away from that. It's pushing towards a more money centric thing, which, I mean, let's not play ourselves. College football has always been surrounded by money at some capacity. NIL's always been a thing. It just finally became legal recently. But the playoff expansion, and the reason I don't like it, it's because it's going to be a catalyst for so much more down the road that takes away from college football as we know it. And I'm not for it. I might have fun watching it the first couple of years. I might have fun watching it down the road. I'm always going to watch college football, but it will not be the same.
The decision has already been made, and they can't turn back. As soon as they decided to let NIL go, it was over. I believe that.
That's true. I mean, it's going to be a snowball effect, but we're gonna see like a power 2, like a mega power 2 here in about 20 years. It's gonna be crazy. So, hey, but I mean, that's how I feel about the college football playoff. Obviously, I'm going to keep watching it. Nothing's going to stop me unless for some reason they do something absolutely crazy. But that's just how it is, how I feel. You can agree or disagree, and that's the beauty of it. But you're right. It is here to stay. That's how it is. All right, man. Any closing thoughts?
No, none off the dome except for Tennessee is gonna be in the 12-team playoff for the next 10 years. But other than that,
Okay. We'll save the hot takes for later on. All right. Well, we appreciate you guys listening. Make sure to follow and subscribe to our social media. We'll be back here next week with another part of this series. Thanks for listening.